The Free Press Initiative came up with a project to train journalists, practicing journalists, in investigative reporting. This is the second training workshop that we've had for Lusaka-based journalists. We started with journalists in the north that brought together practicing journalists from Luapula, Muchinga, and Northern Province. The purpose of these trainings are to equip journalists with investigative tools, modern tools that can assist them in conducting their work in a manner that will ensure that some value is added to their stories.
It's really helpful, and one thing that stood out for me is at twitter.com, where I do a lot of community stories. So take for instance, there's a lot of load shedding or water blues in Mutendere. I'm able to actually use that tool to actually find out what people are complaining about water, and not necessarily going on the ground. I can even get their views from just this tool.
With this tool, one can actually access information that was uploaded way back. So you have an opportunity to actually access information from way back. So I like the example that you gave of the post. It's no longer in existence, but one can actually go back and check some of the posts that were made by the Post newspaper.
So we decided it's important for us to come up with these trainings to remind journalists on the need or the importance of investigative reporting, especially now that we have social media that has sort of taken up the space.
By virtue of being one of the editors of our social media pages, I also get questions on every story that comes. When someone sees a story somewhere, they may not know whether it's fake or real, so they come to ask me. And sometimes I find myself in a situation where I don't really know. So some of these tools that we've done, we've learned about them, will help me to verify. Yeah.
What remains now for journalism to thrive is for the journalists themselves to sort of begin to practice investigative reporting, which a lot of those people that utilize social media to publish the news are not able to do. So far, we have had good interactions with the journalists, and we are happy that most of them have found this particular training is very helpful.
This investigative journalism training should go on to impart more knowledge to the journalists out there, because it helps us to understand how we are important as journalists, and also some of the tools that we have been taught to utilize it's a great tool that we can use to search for information, to research and ensure that our stories are in-depth for the benefit of the public.
This opportunity that has been given to us is to help us to be very specific in the way how we're supposed to pursue stories that seem to be very difficult. And investigative journalism is a very effective tool, like what we've been exposed to, how we can go about it. Now that we're living in the digital world, how we're supposed to use the same tools that everyone else is using it, however in a very different way, like what we've been exposed to, how to use Twitter accounts, research, and many other platforms that otherwise others could not really have an eye on. But this has been an eye-opener for us to interact also with our trainers who have exposed us also to know how to be ethical, even as we carry on our investigative journalism.
As FPI will come up with a number of other initiatives that can ensure that we assist the media industry in Zambia to have more than enough capacity to handle just about everything, because what we want is to have a very strong traditional media which plays a very key role in a democracy like ours. So that's the whole idea behind this project that we are running. Our hope is that we can cover as many journalists as possible with funding from the United States Embassy. That has made it possible for us to have this sort of training workshops.